All right, looks like we're live. Just gonna switch my I stand on one of those cushions here. I'm really enjoying this standing desk. If you guys find yourself in the office a lot, I guess that's my quick tip of the day. The rapid fire tip is get yourself a standing desk. I know for myself as a tile contractor, you would think sitting would have been heaven, but what happened is my back was never in worse shape after 6 months of sitting every single day. So I stand pretty much 80% of the time. But we're live today not to talk about which desk you should choose. We have a short video, a sponsored video by BusyBusy, and I'm glad to have Isaac Barlow back in the studio with me today. We did have a full interview, a full 45-minute interview back maybe 6 weeks ago. The link is in the show notes where you're watching this or listening to this in the future, that you can listen to that whole interview. It was a great interview. But one of the things that we got a lot of feedback from the audience on was this thought about why contractors fail. And Isaac brought up some statistics. He had done some research, and essentially within 7 years, like 70% of contractors, businesses are gonna have trouble and ultimately fail. So that's not good. That's definitely not good. Let me hit record there on the audio so I capture that as well. If you're in the group, you won't be able to share this. You can go to the Tile Money page, and from the page, the Tile Money page, you can share things. But if it's inside the group, no, you won't be able to. But looks like we're live streaming here. I did just really quick, and we'll bring Isaac on. We're letting a few more people hop in here. If you guys are headed to the International Surfaces event, make sure you hit us up at booth 5403, and just about 2 weeks, actually less than 2 weeks, probably 9 days away, we'll be live streaming from the show floor 5403 with the Tile Nation audience. So let's bring Isaac up and see how he's doing today. Hey, Isaac.
Hey, Luke, how you doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Very good, thanks.
Good. So we had a really great discussion, the first, full interview that I really enjoyed. We had some really good feedback from the audience. And one of the things they kind of wanted you to expand on, and I'm glad you agreed to come back on the show here, is this idea of, so many contractors, businesses failing like 70% after 7 years or so, and what to do about it, really. So can you expand on this topic for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to kind of recap, I've done a lot of market research on contractor success and failure, because that's our goal, is to help contractors succeed, through understanding how to make greater profits. And basically, within 7 years, 70% of contractors fail. That's been the statistics, from the government for the last, 3 decades at least. It's just a continuous average. And actually, within 4 years, 57% fail. So I always like to look at it like a survivor island. You go into business for yourself, and it's kind of like you're on Survivor Island. Let's see how long you can last,
Yeah.
But to answer your questions on why do they fail, I'll lead up to that with talking about, I mentioned last time that there's 11 things contractors manage. Now, tile contractors, you would eliminate one of these, and it would be 10 things. But when I talk to equipment contractors, equipment's a big part of that. But it's your planning, your customers, estimating production, managing your growth, your employees, accounting, job costing, regulations, and dealing with legal. And the 11th would be the equipment or the assets, if you're into heavy equipment. And so what often happens, the reason for failure is you just got to look at the demographic of a contractor. Typically, we're the best skill set tradesmen. We do a really good job, and so we decided to go into business for ourselves, and we're really good at our skill, which is the trade we're working in, but we're not really good at those other responsibilities. And so that I just listed out as far as business management. And so what happens is we end up either doing one of two things: either ignoring the business management and just focusing on doing a really great job for customers, or we start trying to do the business management, and we're going through a learning curve, and we hire other people to work for us that aren't as good of skilled craftsmen as we are, and they're going through a learning curve. So we kind of dissatisfy our customers while we're trying to learn the business side of it. And that can be quite challenging. So the answer to why contractors fail, I spent a lot of time, a couple of years in market research on this, and BusyBusy research this all the time. And basically, you can hardly find anybody that's failed for not doing a good job as far as the trade skill. It's pretty much always business management. And the single phrase that defines it best is contractors fail because of insufficient information to make good and profitable decisions. That's kind of the single statement. Insufficient information. So your information systems, how you're getting your information back is, and I would, relate that to like your labor costs. How are you bidding your jobs? How much money you're putting in your jobs? Are you considering the cost of all these other, pieces of operating business, and position yourself so that you don't get taken advantage of, screwed over, or even in bad legal trouble? All those things are part of this. And the reason we started out BusyBusy focusing on labor tracking is in our research, that was number one. People misunderstanding their labor costs because it's such a high variable, because it depends on the person and their performance level, how fast they move, what a quality job they do, all that kind of stuff. It's a high variable. And so in the estimating game, a lot of people really don't understand that variable. So they're kind of either shooting from the hip, or they'll go with something they heard, like, what do you charge to install a square foot of tile? Well, it's an average of $2 a square foot, and I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what it is. Okay.
Let's just say it's 20.
Okay. So let's say it's 20. Okay. But it might change significant from Travertine versus ceramics, right?
Sure.
And so things like that, just understanding your data, like how, what is the labor cost of this versus this, and understanding the differences between them, and being able to go back and evaluate that after. So the other thing I always highly advocate is think of your business like a cycle. This is the construction accounting cycle. You estimate a job, you execute the job, and then you evaluate the job. Evaluate what happened and compare it to your estimate. Did this go according to the way that I thought it would go, or did it not? And if it didn't, what is different? And then make sure you're tracking those things and learning from them, so that next time you estimate a job, whatever mistake was made, what didn't go according to the way you estimated, you've learned from that, and now you're moving on, identifying that, and you're better for the next project. So even just simply being aware of that cycle, estimate, execute, evaluate, will change your business tremendously.
I like that. That's easy to remember. The 3 E's: execute, estimate, execute, and evaluate. If I don't mess it up here. I was reading Trendsetter. He comes in with a good comment. Trendsetter's joining us from YouTube. Experience is something we get shortly after we need it. How true is that?
Very true. Very true.
Hey, Matt, good to see you, brother. Appreciate you checking me out over there. This is, when we did the first podcast, and you told me that, you've invested in this research for your company, and for your strong desire to know, it really told me a lot. All I really needed to know about you, Isaac, and about the company BusyBusy, because here it is, it's not just a flashy thing that's, maybe it's somewhat helpful, but you're really trying to dig into this and really get hard numbers and hard stats. So even though, we were talking about the 70%, like someone said, those are really high numbers. It is. And, we're not trying to scare anybody or tell anybody they're going to fail. That's not the point. The point is, come at it, with information. It's the lack of information that's really the number one problem.
That's right.
Yeah, Carl's got a good point here. There's always something more to learn. So where do you point your contractors, or what do you see the 30% that are really, because I have a feeling that those 30% or a good portion of those 30% are very successful. They're the 20% that are, the 20% lives within that 30%, obviously, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are they doing differently? I mean, where are they turning to? What does their day-to-day activities look like? I mean, because it's really, like you said, when we go into business, we know the trade, we know everything, hands-on, we might be the most excellent craftsmen, but what should we be doing?
Well, so to identify the characteristics of that 30%, number one, you're doing a podcast here about tile money, right? Mm-hmm. And so people that are attending your podcast are likely part of that 30%, because that 30% are typically the contractors that learn. They're the ones that go into business, and they're constantly trying to learn and figure out what they don't know and improve upon it. And so they're always taking that step forward. And so, someone can be watching your show saying, well, I don't think I'm going to fail. Well, part of the reason we can tell they're probably not going to fail is they're watching your show. Like they're interested in being profitable.
Right.
And just simply having an attitude of learning and being kind of data hungry. Like I want to know everything I can to make more money. I want to know where I'm making mistakes and how I'm going to get better. Just that mentality of self-improvement and business improvement usually separates the herd and puts you in that 30%.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is as simple as that. I mean, you've got to be hungry for this knowledge and search it out
Yeah.
everywhere you can, whether you're at a mixing event, right? And you happen to be talking to a business owner,
Yep.
you know, completely different business, pick his brain and really get to know him or her and pull that information out of them, you know, consume books, be hungry for, you know, for that knowledge and really look to your peers. The conversations I see in Facebook, it's interesting because some of them, you'll see the conversations and the people who ask questions and say, well, how did you get to those numbers? Or how did you grow that business that way? Or what makes you so successful, are on an entirely different plane. And I just congratulate that type of mentality, because the other type is, oh, you can't do that because I can't do that.
Right. That's right. Oh, it's never going to work. It's the other type of mentality is it's like it's a negative mentality where you're like, it's never going to work. We're never going to win. You know, everybody's out to screw me, whatever the case is. And so, you know, it just doesn't lead to prosperity, and prosperity usually comes from that attitude. Another really great quote, and I'm sure you've heard it many times, but a common statement in business is success equals preparation meeting opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what success is. You're prepared for it. You're always hungry. You're learning, and you're increasing your knowledge, whether it's business skills, negotiation, you know, maybe how to do the job better productivity wise, but all these things, you're constantly honing your skills, and then you start meeting the opportunities, and that's what equals the success.
I love that quote, because you can't have one without the other, right? I mean, it's really hard. I've had opportunities land in my lap and it was early, right? And I've heard this from a lot of contractors is I had this great opportunity, and a lot of times we might want to chase it, but really if we're not prepared, and that comes with age, sometimes you realize like, oh, it was just, I lost the opportunity. I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah. You can't capitalize on it because you're not ready. Yeah.
Here we got another comment from Chris Moreno from YouTube. Customers love the detail, and it sets expectations to avoid conflict. Yeah, the more prepared you can be, absolutely, absolutely.
No doubt, no doubt.
Constantly seeking for improvements in all aspects.
That comment right there, that's an amazing mentality. If you're always trying to figure out, hey, what could I do better? I mean, you're just a winner. You are absolutely a winner.
Yeah. And we do that as contractors, and tilers are probably one of the trades that does it the most. I mean, and of course, you know, that's what I am. So I'll say that, but the fact of the matter is it's a finished trade, right? And so we're always, I mean, I can tell you, most of my audience probably goes home after a job their client loves and beats themselves up over one or two or three tiny little details that only they would ever notice, or maybe one of their peers. But the fact of the matter is, they are evaluating their trade. Now, when it comes to your business, don't forget, it's just as important. It's actually more important to evaluate your business. Every single business transaction, every single check you get, evaluate it. Did I match my profit goal? You should go into it with a profit percentage goal. I want to get, you know, every single hour that I work, I'm charging, you know, my company needs to have this much profit every single week. Evaluate. Be just as critical with yourselves, guys, as you are with your showers and your floors and your backsplashes, because otherwise you're going to find yourself in that larger number, 70%. It's too scary. It's too easy to fall into that. Remain in that 30%. It's critical.
Absolutely. Another concept I would love to just throw out there is concept of contribution. A lot of times we think, oh, we're making this really great amount per hour. That's a good amount of money. And we might not think about how much of that portion of hourly wage, when you talk about making your business more successful, is you have, for instance, if you have someone that works for you, and let's say you pay them $25 an hour and they cost you $30 an hour, and you're billing out $50 an hour, right? Well, you might think that's good, but if your truck and tools and all the other things are costing you extra 20, and you don't have anything left to contribute to the company's overhead and expenses, you don't have any contribution. And so you have to take the hard on-site costs, what it costs you to put that person on site, which is them, the taxes and wages on top of them, workers' compensation, all those things, and then their truck and tools and everything. What is all the cost that puts them on site? Then you need to also make sure you have something contributing back to the overhead of the company, which we call contribution, and then of course your profit.
Yeah, nice.
And so just always make sure you think of contribution as a necessary cost.
That makes sense. That makes sense. No, that's a good point. Appreciate that. Well, I really appreciate you joining me again for this follow-up to our full interview. Any last minute gems you can throw out at the audience before we say goodbye until next time?
I guess the last minute gem I would give you is we always advocate two pillars of success in business, and that's systems and culture. So you have your systems, which we've been talking about today, like execute or estimate, execute, evaluate. That's a system. The second thing is your culture. Just remember that, you have to create a culture where if you're going to have employees where people want to work. And the easiest way to evaluate your culture is say, is my company a company I would want to work for if I didn't own it?
It's so true. So true. We have, are you still seeing this trend of not enough workers, employees?
Oh yeah.
So we have this huge trend, right? And there's even, I go in Reddit once in a blue moon. There's even a group in Reddit called anti-work, and it's always one of the more popular groups. So wow. It's a group of people who are anti-establish or anti-work, I should say. They don't, and their biggest gripe, they're griping about the money. Most of them want more money, but what the majority of them really agree on is they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel value at their place of work. It's when they're viewed as a machine. Now, this is where because most of these jobs are entry-level jobs that these people are, restaurants, fast food, big box stores, this type of stuff. So what's neat and where there's, I try to see opportunity everywhere. Okay. So you need to understand what people are upset about with their jobs, with their work. And then there's that opportunity seized, because guess what? A contractor business of 10 employees, 5 employees, you're going to be able to provide them such a more comfortable environment for growth. Even if you have 100 employees, it's better than having 1 million, right? You're going to be able to craft that environment, and even large companies can and do craft and build environments. But what I'm saying for you contractors, keep your heads up when you're looking for people, because I'm glad you snuck that in there, Isaac, is create that company culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Yep. We got some good feedback. They're loving the three E's: estimate, execute, and evaluate. Never wrestle with pigs.
I like that.
I like it. Thanks,
cool.
Trendsetter, for joining us. And Isaac, thank you for joining us again. I appreciate it. This is Isaac Barlow. He is the CEO of BusyBusy. He has sponsored a few videos here. He's working with Tile Money. He really believes in the mission of strengthening tile contractor businesses and contractor businesses in general. But we appreciate your joining the fight. If you guys want to show Isaac appreciation for sponsoring Tile Money, check out the BusyBusy app. They have all kinds of value, much further than time tracking. That's just really the tip of the iceberg there. They have job tracking, materials, tracking, costing, and they're continuing to add on. I think you'll really enjoy what you see. David Sandana is in the Facebook group. He's using the app BusyBusy with great success. And I know several other people in the group are as well. So I can point you in the right direction. The link's in the bio. Tell them Tile Money sent you. Tell them that you appreciate their support of Tile Money and tile contractors. So, all right, Isaac. Well, with that, I'll let you go and get on with your day. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Take care.
You too. Have a good day.
You too.